One thing I love about California is all the fresh citrus fruit. And then the lemon tree. Take this one. Very nice fresh lemon. My name is Birgit. I grew up in Germany. I like a lot of things outside, biking, hiking. I enjoy just meeting my friends here, and I'm catching up on Asian food because there's such a variety of good, authentic Asian food in this area that I just love and enjoy while I'm here. I grew up in that village, and it's really a small village. There's maybe 300 people that live there. And after all the being international, living in different countries, it's quite a contrast to be back there. But I really enjoy that we know each other. Most of the people that are my neighbors that lived in the village are people that I've known since I was little. I like the countryside, that I can just go out of my house and go hiking in the back over the fields and finish my hike with visiting some friends in the village. So it's a very communal life, I guess. This is something we do every year for the last, I think, about 25 or 30 years in my church. End of September, when we have the Harvest Thanksgiving service, we put out this Harvest Thanksgiving carpet, which is actually made all with natural things. So like the white lines, they are eggs, and then you see the maize here, and the red line around is all apples. There's a big pumpkin back there. All the colors is like flower petals that they dry for it, and the different beige colors, they're all different type of grains. And this is chestnuts, the brown line. So every year is a different biblical picture, and then we just design the different patterns around it according to what we have that year. My dream, I think it has a lot to do with my faith in Jesus. And ever since I met Jesus personally as a teenager, it's been just my dream to see other people meet him. I really grew up not having much to do with the church, which in Germany is quite common. And so I came to confirmation classes when I was 12 or so. There was a movie we watched, it was actually a Billy Graham movie. And after that movie, a number of us went up to the pastor and said, hey, how do we do this? How do we become a Christian? So he prayed with each one of us. I also prayed with him and just gave my life to Jesus. One of the things that I immediately experienced was a huge joy in my heart. I could have danced and actually did. And that evening also was the first time I felt very free to pray, just in my own words and talk to him. And I started going to youth group, and I was just really excited about what he can do in people's lives. And that's really when this started. And even as young people, we would go out on the streets and try and to talk to others about Jesus. And of course, eventually it led me to join a mission agency and to work even overseas in Ghana and West Africa. In terms of going to the mission and to Ghana, it's really a journey, but several things came together that you could call coincidences. When I was thinking about where I should be going, the first one was that I kind of very logically looked at which of the countries in West Africa would be English speaking. And that kind of brought my attention the first time to Ghana as a country where that's English speaking and where the mission that I'm now with was working. And then the second one to that was that the next time I got the journal from the German office, it had this long article about Ghana, even though we didn't have any Germans at that time working in Ghana. And then maybe 2 weeks later, I received a letter. This is in the times before emails and all that. So I received this letter, blue and red outside, and I'm like, where do I get this kind of letter from? And it turned out it was from a student in Ghana who was just looking for pen pals around the world. And I have, to this day, no idea how he got my address. But I communicated with him over several years, but this became really okay, maybe God is calling me to Ghana. When I first got there, I spent most of the first year staying with one particular family, learning their particular language, which is one of about 70 something that there are in Ghana. So I learned Gonja with this family, and at this remote village where they stayed at the time, and he was the pastor of this small local church. About 20 years ago, he started a school, just a normal school. And now it's developed to have kindergarten all the way to grade 9, and they have about 700 students.
He is the truth, He is the life, so put your faith in Jesus Christ, and your soul will never die. You have eternal life.
It's just exciting to see how they run the school and the impact they have in a town that is has quite a high percentage of Muslim peoples, and a very clear Christian school, and their students come and their parents want to send their children there because it's such good education they're getting. It's great to see that development over years and see how they're going on with the Lord. I was in Ghana for 8 years. God is moving in Ghana in many ways. I think the first lesson I had to learn very quickly is that there are many, many Christians in Ghana. I was helping the church that came into being through our work there to set up their children's department. So I did a lot of training about children's work and working with the Christian leaders. The exciting thing for me is now, after years, to go back and just see them continuing the work and doing it better than I could have ever taught them. Those are all exciting moments for me to see how God is at work. My first training is as an elementary school teacher. So when I first felt called to go to overseas mission, that meant leaving the safe job as a teacher. It was harder with my dad because he really isn't a Christian or wasn't a Christian. So for him, this was just completely outside his view of the world. But for Mom, I think it was more like, why do you have to go? And I think they also felt I'm leaving them. They were getting older. And so it was difficult for them to have me so far away and not having grandchildren because I never got married. So that was a difficult time where I could understand them in some ways, but I also felt I need to do what God is calling me to do. I think what helped me was just holding on to God and just continue to trust Him, talk with God about the whole situation, and trusting my parents to Him. And the interesting thing is that after 2 years in Ghana, I came back to visit back home, and that was a turning point when they realized I'm actually coming back and I'm happy where I am. From then on, they accepted what I was doing, and in fact my mom even was behind it in many ways after that. I'm now working for the last 25 years or so for an international Christian mission. That takes me to many places in the world because I'm working for an international mission organization. We have workers from about 60 different nations, and so I've been on almost all continents so far, trying to help people to be prepared for multicultural international teams in some different cultural context than where they come from, and that is always a challenge. It's exciting to see where our new people come from. The big numbers come from East Asia, South Korea in particular. Northeast India is a coming up area that are sending out missionaries, and in Africa it's beginning as well. They're already all over the continent, and they're also beginning to go wherever God is leading them. And Latin America is already happening. So it's really today from everywhere to everywhere. That's literally the way mission is today. And I get to see a little glimpse of that within my organization. I think in mission, in the end, we always just come alongside what God is doing. And so He is at work, and we get the privilege to join Him here and there. And so, yeah, I could use some of my training as a teacher to help them understand some important principles, how you teach children, but it's the Lord who just works in them and increase their passion and helps them to go and continue the work. So when people see me and see my life, just one that follows Jesus hard and loves him and causes other people to love him. That's probably the core of what kind of person I want to be.